Today is a really different video. When my friend first came and asked me if this would be possible to do inside of Chat GPT, I had my doubts. Today, I'm going to share how you can use Chat GPT to do your dissertation analysis once you have gathered all of your data. My friend is doing her doctorate, and when you are working and going to school, it is tough. There are two things they tell you when you start doing your dissertation that I've always found to be just distasteful. And the first one is this idea that your family are going to be the ones who will suffer the most. The idea that because you're going to be so busy with school, their support and understanding is essential, which I get it, it makes sense, it's just distasteful. And the second that I don't like is that they say a good dissertation is just a done dissertation. Now, take those same two sentences and apply them to something that you are really passionate about and that you're spending a ton of time and money on. And then tell me how that sounds. If I was passionate about starting something, yes, of course, there are sacrifices that are going to be made when it comes to family, friends, how you spend your time. But a good enough product shouldn't be your criteria for making that kind of sacrifice. It's for this exact reason why I believe that AI tools can really help us focus on what matters most. And at the top of that list for many of us are our family, our friends, our health, and doing the things that bring us joy. When it comes to things that need to be just good enough and just get that done, well, that to me is definitely a starting place for tasks that can be handed over to generative AI. And when my friend came to me, one of the things that she shared was like, I want to go on vacation with my kids during their spring break, and I don't ever want to look back or have them look back and be like, oh, like mommy was too busy for us. She was always working or doing this or doing that. And so when we have those moments, it is the time where we often feel like I need to catch up on something. I can't do this because I need to do this task. And obviously, I'm not trying to say in any way, shape, or form that sometimes that doesn't happen. It's just that we now have tools that can help us decide, is this the best use of my time? Or am I, as a human, better suited to do things that machines cannot do and hand over the tasks that are good for AI tools and have them do that? So this is one example. I'm not by any means either saying you should hand over your whole dissertation research process to AI tools. What I am going to show you today, though, is how they can do a bunch of the grunt work so that you can spend your time focusing on what matters most. Because when I did my dissertation, I actually loved my research and I actually enjoyed turning it into a podcast, turning it into a documentary. I just wish those had been things I didn't have to do outside of school and that would have been part of my experience inside of school. Now, there is a lot out there already on how to use AI tools to do things like a literature review, so I'm not focusing on that at all, but there wasn't a lot to do once you have your literature review, once you have gathered all of your data, and there are a lot of moving pieces when doing that particular end part. So today, I'm going to show you how to build a custom GPT that can help you in this process. It's not going to do the whole thing for you, but my God, if I had this, it would have saved me months of work. Now, when doing a lot of projects with people, I often have to keep them confidential, and this is one of those projects. One of the things that's hard right now is that there is still a lot of mixed opinions out there about AI use. Somebody watching this is probably already like super angry, like watching this, and others are probably excited. And whether that's right or wrong is sort of irrelevant. The fact is these tools exist. They'll become more and more normal over time. And while, like I said, I don't support a culture of secrecy, it definitely is one that exists right now where a lot of people feel like they have to hide what they're doing instead of openly sharing and strengthening and empowering each other. And so I hope stories like this help you help tell your story. But what I'm going to basically do in this video is replicate the process using my data and materials from my dissertation. And then I will show you what this looked like as well before tools like ChatGPT and what it looks like after. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get to step one. Now, step one is we need to be working with really clean data. This type of analysis, like I said, once you get to sort of like this like last part of your dissertation, has a lot of moving pieces. And so it's really essential that the data is clean and well organized. Whether it's a project like the one I'm going to show you today, or whether it's something else, when working with clients, a lot of times what I'll do is I will send them a template ahead of time so that we can have all of our data organized. we want to make sure in this case that we have a research summary, we have our research questions, we have the framework we're going to be using to do the analysis, and then we want to have all of our data, the quantitative, the qualitative, everything all in one place. Now, for your qualitative data, if you did interviews, it's going to be really important that we get those transcripts. And my recommendation here is going to be Otter AI. There is a student discount if you get that, and you can get just sort of like the 1 month subscription if you don't feel like it's going to be a tool you're going to be using for a much longer time. Now, I will say that I personally have Fireflies, and it does a really fantastic job of recording any existing meetings on any platform, but also allowing you to upload and get a transcription. And that's actually an ongoing subscription that I have because I use it for meetings and so many other things. But if you're a student and this is the main reason you're subscribing to this tool, then Otter is a great choice. If you have already done the interviews and your transcripts aren't that great, it is 100% really well worth paying a company like Rev.com to do a human review. Costs a little bit of money, or you can do it yourself. But here is the big thing you want to keep in mind. The cleaner the data, the better and easier this process is going to be, and the more accurate this process is going to be. So if you have not yet recorded, highly recommend Zoom and Fireflies. If you're not using Zoom, then please make sure in person that you have a wireless mic, one that I don't have mine on me right now, but any wireless mic that basically just connects right into the port into your phone so that your recordings are super, super clear. But I will link a recommendation for you in the show notes. So now that we have this template and all of these pieces together, we are ready to begin programming our GPT. Now, I have another video for you in more detail about how to build a GPT. I'm going to link it for you in the show notes. So today we're just going to get right into it. Now, because I do have Chat GPT teams, all of the data that I'm going to put in is completely secure. If you are using the paid version, meaning you're probably paying the $20 a month, it's not Teams, it's just the paid version. Remember to remove all PII and to create your own label system so that you can keep track of all of the data. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments and I'll help you clarify anything you need. Okay, so with the basics covered, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna do the typical, we're gonna name our GPT, we're gonna generate an image, but now the most important part. Are you ready? Let's start. All right, so I'm gonna come in here, and one of the first things we're gonna do is say, I need your help analyzing the data for my dissertation. So these are just going to be kind of the basics. This will all be included for you inside of the guide. So you will have all of these prompts. It's then going to go ahead and create an image. We're just going to go with the image. You can definitely change it up if you want. That's great. Now, once we do that, it's going to go ahead and make the image. And then we're going to get to the really important part where we're going to start by sharing just a summary of our study. So to get that summary of our study, we are going to come over here and copy and paste our research summary. So this is the goal of my study, and we're going to go ahead and put that in. And once it has that, the next thing we're going to come and grab over here are the research questions. So now we're going to come here and say, and every once in a while, it sometimes might ask questions. So remember to answer those if you feel it's appropriate. Otherwise, you can just be like, I still have more things to share with you, because obviously it doesn't know what all of the things are that you are going to be sharing. So let's see over here. It's always going to summarize for you and kind of read back to you what it should be doing. And like I said, it's going to sometimes ask you questions too, but answer those at your discretion. So do you want it to ask questions? Okay, not yet. I first need to share a few more things. Here are my research questions. So we're going to drop that in. And then while it's giving its answer, we can come over here, we can grab our framework that we put in as well, because that's the next thing we're going to want to share here is the framework that we're using so that it is aligning the analysis and extracting parts of the transcript, but aligning it to the framework that we need to be using. So we still need to add some more. Here is the framework I am using, and I need to align the data I share with you to this framework. Okay, all right, here we go. My paper is divided into 3 sections: knowledge, motivation, and organization. that was the framework that we had. We had to look at those 3 criteria and we had to take our data and align it to that. For you, it might be different. So this is the piece where you're going to want to do a little bit of contextualization to your own scenario. It needs to really understand the framework you're using so that it can align the data and all the transcripts and the information accordingly. So over here is where, again, there might be some nuances. And so I need you to align the data I share to these 3 categories. All right, amazing. Now that it has that information there, you can share some other things as well. You can share your survey questions. One of the things I would do differently if I had not done my data collection already, because obviously I did this before ChatGPT, was when I am doing the interviews, I would be very specific to say, this is the question I am asking. Again, just so that it can really organize the data that it's going to be getting. All right, so one of the things I'm going to tell it is each time I share a transcript with you, I need you to extract the top, we could just say 3 themes, and align the transcript where appropriate, because maybe not every single person talked about one of those 3 areas, to the knowledge, motivation, and organization influences. You can see if you caught that, I was trying to get a little lazy there and be KMO, spell everything out. Remember, this is somebody just learning it for the first time. I've heard knowledge, motivation, organization so many times that KMO just like is second nature now. But for my AI tool, it's just hearing it for the first time and it's not going to be second nature for it. All right, so let's go ahead and put that in. And then with that, if there's any other things you want to share with it, like don't be fluffy, organize things in bullet points, add timestamps, whatever it is that you want to add in here, this is your place to tell it anything really it is that you would need. Always keep that reference in your head as if you are hiring somebody. What would you tell them if they were doing this for you? That's the same information your AI tool needs as well. So let's go ahead and say we are ready to test. Okay, now one of the things we can do, we can actually test over on this right-hand side, and you can see over here, you can, use the paperclip. Now, one of the things that's really, really, really important is that next to create, you have a tab called configure. You want to scroll all the way down and make sure code interpreter is turned on. If code interpreter is not turned on, you won't be able to upload documents and it won't be able to do any kind of statistical analysis. It won't be able to read CSV files, PDFs, anything at all. So we want to make sure all of that is done. It's in there. Instead of testing here, we're actually going to go ahead and create, just so I can show you what this looks like. We're going to go ahead, update this, create this, and then we are going to view this GPT and we're going to run our first transcript analysis. So now we're ready to run our first transcript analysis. Let's come over here and get a transcript and say, please run the analysis for this transcript using the directions I shared. All right, let's see what it does. Now, here is where it may do an amazing job, but like anyone who's doing something for the first time, it might not do such a great job. So be paying attention here for what you like, what you dislike, because you can actually take things that it didn't do well, go back and edit those instructions and refine it further if you feel like you're not getting exactly what you need. Now, this also is a great time to be able to do so many things. Now, one of the first things we're doing here as we run this is we basically need it to read every single transcript first. Once it's read every single transcript, then we can ask it questions about all the transcripts combined. We can do coding. What were the top words used? What were the top themes across each one? Right now, it's picking and extracting themes interview by interview. And the reason is I want to pull as much as I can from every individual data set before I start going and making comparisons and compare and contrast and pulling any analysis across all of the different data sets. But here you go. It actually did a really good job. One of the things I might tell it is like, maybe over here I'm going to be like, can I have 2 more quotes that expand the knowledge section, because maybe there was something there where I'm like, oh my God, like I remember this person talked a lot more about this or a lot more about that, or maybe I'm really liking what it extracted here and I want even more. And so it's going to go ahead and pull more pieces like that as well. But oh my God, like let's take a look at what this looked like before. So before, one of the things you can see here, this is my codebook. And in my codebook, you can see this is all of my research questions, my data, and you can see all of the different tabs that I have open here where I am literally timestamping, extracting words, quotes, statements, aligning to the data all by hand. So one of the things this is really helpful for is, again, going back to what do we do best as humans, what do machines do best, and how do we work better together. It is so unreal to me that we live in a day and age where we have these kinds of tools, and there's just a couple things that I want to leave you with as a reminder. Number one, always work step by step by step. The more organized you are, the more transparency you will have in your results. It's really easy to want to get greedy and be like, upload 3 transcripts at a time. Do not do this. The best way to ensure accuracy and really keep the process transparent so that you can make sure everything is as accurate as possible, as ethical use of AI, is to really work one step at a time. As tedious as even that may seem, trust me, compared to what it was like before, you are saving not just hours and days, you are probably saving weeks, if not months of time, because I know it took me a good solid 6 to 8 months to actually work on all of this. I shared with you a little bit about what it looked like before, so you can see right there that little bit of time that you invest up front, keeping it super clean, doing it step by step, way better for you. And there you have it. From there, you can go back to your GPT, you can edit, you can keep adding more. You can even later upload in your literature review. If there's a certain paper you want to tie to a quote that you've seen or a theme that you've seen, you can upload that paper in or upload that piece in. And to me, a really important part of this entire process is you making those connections between the research, the data, what you're hearing, what you're seeing, and the impact it is that you want to have. Yes, your AI tools can help you with a lot, but at the end of the day, it's going to be your insights and your aha moments that come from this process that will allow you to know where to go deeper with the analysis and where to extract things for the reader or the audience. Whereas before we were just stuck listening over and over and over again to these interviews, now we can actually spend more time being present with the data, reflecting, going deeper on the parts you need to, uncovering themes and ideas that you may have missed before. Well, we're not machines, right? We're not going to catch everything. And now instead of just having a done dissertation, you can spend time with your family, you can get the help from your AI tools, but you can also think about what you want to do next. Do you want to publish this research? Do you want to do a podcast series where you share your study, your results, the applications and the outcomes and what people can take away? Do you want to do a blog series? These are the kinds of projects that I wish I had been able to do more while I was in school instead of on my free time. And quite frankly, it's what I really wish my program had moved towards. We have had technologies like this and possibilities like this for a really long time. And if you've been following me, you know that I turned my research into a documentary. It's now being published as a book as well that hopefully will be coming out this summer. But the point is, there is so much more human work that needs to be done. I am such a big fan of research. One of the reasons I'm pretty confident sharing something like this, even though I'm sure there's some people that are gonna be like, that's cheating, is because I'm a really big believer in evidence and research. And I love research and I love reading research, but I know not everyone has the time, and people like that research translated into different types of digestible bite-sized pieces so that more and more people have access to it. When you make an investment in doing this kind of assignment or this type of program, you're not just spending that kind of time and money for no reason. It's because you want to make an impact in your field. And so I hope the AI tools help you. And if you want more strategies and workflows just like this one, I teach all of this inside of the AI Bootcamp. It's my signature online course. You get lifetime updates because we all know how fast AI moves. We meet twice a month for live sessions where we work through examples exactly like the one that I just shared with you. And if you need more in-depth help like the one I did here, we also do one-on-one coaching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and good luck with your research. And again, remember, this was not to promote or encourage any kind of cheating. This was to promote you being able to spend more time with your friends, your family, your health, your wellness, and not just having a done dissertation, but an amazing dissertation that you are proud to share with the world, that can be broken up into so many more elements so that your research can have the impact it is that you hope that it has.